Hey everybody, it's Josh Wilmuth with another episode of Georgetown Leaders. And let me tell you, I've got a good one for you today. So today we've got Principal Mike Daring with Concordia High School in Pflugerville. I asked him to come on the show, talk a little bit about what's going on in their world from the education standpoint, and just maybe learn some new things that they're doing and how they're preparing for next year. So Mike, thanks for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about Concordia High School.
Thanks for having me. Concordia High School, we've been around for 17, 18 years now. I've been there for 15 years actually, but it's always been, and I think it will always be a community, a small environment type of community where kind of like Cheers, everybody knows your name. We connect with our alumni really well, and they want to be connected with us going years in advance. And I've been blessed to see our high schoolers get married, see the groomsmen and the bridesmaids up there, be invited to different baptisms. I actually was honored to be a sponsor for one of my alumni and their children. So it's just one of those places where it's really special. It's really based on relationships and the community and the love that we have for each other. That certainly was the case before COVID-19, and I think that was really the emphasis as we went into a post-COVID, I don't know if you want to say post-COVID world, but the online platform that we used, it certainly, we really thought about how do we stay connected with one another through this time. So that, yeah, we use technology, obviously, and CTTS has done a great job of providing us that opportunity to connect with our student body. But that, all those questions, like, what do we do? How do we do this well? How do we continue to educate? And then on the emotional, social level, how do we just check in with our student body? We probably in February, we saw, the news out of Wuhan and around the world and in Italy, and we started asking the questions pretty early. What if this was going to happen, and talking through that with our faculty and staff. Let's be prepared on the off chance that this might happen. And I think at that time, my faculty would say, I didn't think that was really going to happen. I didn't think we were actually going to be in a lockdown situation, but it was actually really a really positive thing for us to think about it ahead of time. One thing that I think we did really well as a school to stay connected was to communicate to the parents every single day. We have a block 8 schedule, so we have A days and B days and 4 periods a day. And so it was up to the teachers in an asynchronous method to tell the students and the parents, either I'm going to be on Zoom today, or I expect you to turn this in, and on Google Classroom. So I'd say those 2 pieces were really the big instruments that we used. But you also have email and threads of communication going along that line. One of the positive things that we do at the school is called family groups, and it's small groups and 10 to 12 students, ranging freshman through senior year. Seniors lead it. We get together on Fridays. It's outside the curriculum time, and it's just an opportunity for students to get together. And really it ends up being, well, how's your week? How's your day? Checking in, and seniors caring for freshmen or sophomores, or juniors giving the lowdown on what's happening in the AP world. And we pray for each other, and we encourage each other. So when this all happened, that was a struggle. I mean, I think that was a real struggle of how do we continue one of the real strong pieces of our community, which is family groups. And, Zoom meetings, certainly that does help, but these are teenagers we're dealing with, and they need each other. I don't think we were socially distant from each other in a sense of, the connection. I think the social distance obviously happened physically, but we were socially pretty close during this time. And various people handle it differently, and we saw that. and checking in. And at the end of the year, as things started to settle down, it was a definite opportunity for our family groups and for various groups to meet in parking lots. We've done drive-bys. One of the things we did for our seniors was the Busarama tour, where we took our big old, I have a CDL, so I got to drive the bus for a full day and drive to our seniors' houses and surprise them. And we let the parents in on the secret, but we didn't let the seniors know that we were coming by with a bunch of faculty members and going to say hi to them for 15 minutes and celebrate them. So it was a great day. That was one of the highlights of my 15 years of teaching, was just going and surprising seniors. And it was just kind of like, wow, here's a big old bus and we're coming out making all sorts of noise and confetti makers and all this stuff. So I'll always look back on that time. But we've done, parking lot drive-bys, and today we actually have a senior parade at our campus, and then on Saturday we're going to have a kind of drive-in movie style, and the governor's allowed us to be outside, so people who don't feel comfortable being outside in chairs, they can bring their car, and we'll do a graduation in our back parking lot at the Heatherwild campus, which is our new building that we purchased, and we're retrofitting to make it. It's a warehouse, but we're retrofitting it to make a school, a high school. So that parking lot that we've used originally was for semis. So you can imagine that it's a very large parking lot, and just perfect for us right now. To be able to continue the connection piece and the community piece of Concordia High School.
Yeah, no, I think you hit on it, right there. Is just you were given the opportunity through what we encountered with COVID, and you had to make some changes. The leadership team was quick and made those changes, but then you went that extra mile and you kind of plussed it one, by creating other opportunities for folks to connect and still be involved in the community and still, be physically distant, but not socially distant. So that's right. A good way to look at things. And it's so important, for all of us, because we're made to communicate with other folks, and we're not made to live in a bubble and stay inside. And it's difficult, and folks are, deal with that in different ways. So that's kudos to you and your team on that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'd like to say that we did a shelter in place, but we didn't need a shelter in place. Our hearts, and I think for teachers, the hearts are with the student body. The hearts are with the relationships, and as much as the teenagers, our kiddos, missed each other, and maybe even missed some of the schoolwork, the teachers certainly missed just being around the students. It's what wakes you up in the morning. I mean, it's really, for a teacher, that's their passion. And so you take that away and you go back to only the academic piece, you're missing something. And so we struggled, and we worked through how do we expand that and do what we normally do in a school year. And it wasn't perfect, but I think it was something that we did exceedingly well over time. Yeah.
That's great. So for, all the changes that you guys implemented, and just the flexibility that you had, is there anything that kind of stands out in your mind that, maybe we'll do this again next year, even if we're not physically distant from each other, or, any other tips and tricks that, other schools, other nonprofits in the area, or, even business owners can learn from?
Great question. That's a great question. From a school standpoint, and this might not be for businesses, or maybe it is, but we made a commitment early on that we were going to do school as best as possible, that we were going to continue. And I think waking up in the morning, still putting on your scholar hat, doing the school thing, mentally, you look forward to that. Mentally, it keeps you in the game. And so right away, right after spring break is really when we went back into it. Let's just keep it as normal as possible. And that weighs on you. I think that we didn't realize, I mean, there are obviously remote teachers and programs out there, you go off to college and you might have an online class. We didn't realize at the time how much preparation goes into that. I think it's easy for somebody to think, well, don't, just go in front of your classroom and tape yourself on the whiteboard and call it a day. I mean, but it's a lot more complicated, and our teachers were learning and growing at the same time as trying to educate the minds and hearts of our students. So about midway through, we made a decision to say, Wednesdays, we might be one of the few schools that are still like plunging ahead and trying to get this thing to work. So on Wednesdays, I said, let's do a Student Success Wednesday where individually teachers have the opportunity to meet with their students have the opportunity to meet with their teachers, and just kind of get the one-on-one attention. It would also give the opportunity for teachers to create new content. And so it really allowed us to organize our thoughts on I'm going to do an A day on a Monday, I'm going to do a B day on a Tuesday, and then I'm going to get to Wednesday and I'm just going to reload and refresh and get ready for another A and B day. That's something that we're really looking at for next year. If when we get back onto campus, it really focused our attention to the quality of what we're doing and not just the quantity and trying to plug in the hours, because all that went out the window, and I think schools have operated historically on a very timely, organized manner. From this time you go to this class, and at 3:40 p.m. you end the day. So this whole time period has been very unique in the fact that our student body haven't been totally trained or haven't been totally locked into certain time structures. It's more about, are you mastering the content? So from a teacher's standpoint, we really focused on the master of the content and getting their work done, as opposed to just simple attendance and being on screen. So yeah, there's been a lot of great things that have come from it, and I think we want that's one thing that I'm looking forward to next year, is how do we encourage our students and our faculty to go after the quantity or quality rather than the quantity piece. Yeah,
I think that's a very good point, and kind of just reflecting on that a little bit, just on our internal experience here is we're a Monday through Friday 8:30 to 5:30 operation, but when everybody went home for work, to work from home, we were getting calls at 6 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock at night, which never used to happen before. And so we had to figure out, how are we going to still support and be there for these folks that need us, that just that normally we dealt with in normal business hours, but now we're outside of those business hours. So that's interesting. You saw that from this, the school and the student perspective.
Yeah, and you're right. You say that, and it makes me really reflect on this time of how available our teachers were and how much they need to stay on their game quite a bit. There was a lot of need, and our teachers really put in a ton of work. It wasn't easy, but we've gotten high marks on how we handled it and just tried to continue to do education, hold our students accountable. We didn't let them just go off to the summer. It wasn't an extended time. It was very much school as usual. And it's time for a break. So it's our teachers and our students are probably very excited about summer right now and hopefully getting back into relax and refresh mode.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, preparing for next year and getting a rest here. And you also mentioned the new facility guys have coming on board. What is new skill? And I know all this is in flex and it's going to change probably 100 times between now and then.
Yes.
What's going on for next school year that you can, communicate to those that are watching, and, what's new with the new building, and, what does that look like for school and the students?
Great question. And that is the $1 million question. What does next school year look like for public schools and private schools alike? On the flip side, internally as our school, we are still moving ahead with our new building at Heather Wild in Fleurville. It'll house 200 students, so we're pretty excited about that, and that, God willing, that will be later this semester as we get into the fall semester. But thinking ahead and trying to plan for months out, one thing I think school leaders are definitely thinking about this, and I think business leaders probably should be too. We get so used to looking months and maybe a year out and trying to see and predict the outcome. And when you look back into like March time or April, looking so far ahead could actually hurt you. I mean, it was because it was constantly changing, and you didn't want to find yourself in a position where you're saying something or making a promise that you'd have to come back on. It was a very flexible situation, and I think those are the words that I've used a lot too, is flexibility and adaptability. How do we stay humble enough to know that we don't have all the answers, and how can we pivot quickly? So we're looking at the next semester and just really focusing on schedule of the next semester as best as we know right now. How do we create a schedule from August to December, and knowing that full well January to May, it could change. But I mean, you go back and you think about March, it was hard enough making decisions in about May, about graduation, about sports practices and AP tests and finals. It was so difficult to say, this is what we're going to do. And then you wait a week and then it changes. So it really is right now, as we sit in early June, just putting one foot in front of the other and going, okay, if we were to open on Monday, here would be the plan. But we're not necessarily, that's all internal. And I still want to wait. And I think, I believe that our families understand that at this point. Our students and our faculty understand. I've gotten phone calls on admissions, and they're saying, the same question: what are you all planning for next year? And I said, well, this is my go-to. Nobody wants to go back online. I mean, as a faculty, as teachers, we don't want to go back online. And so if that's like the retreat point, is to go back online, how do we prepare our classes in kind of a parallel universe of this is my plan if we are on campus, and this is my plan if and when we ever go online throughout the semester, because that's a possibility too. I think we realize that it could happen at any time. So teachers are planners, we're preparers, and right now I want them to focus on resting because they've really worked hard. But as they get ready for August, how could we, on the first day, utilize some of the tools and train some of our students, all of our students, to be using the tools that we've already used, so that it becomes a seamless transition, and we can even pivot quicker and better the second time. That will be a real key for us as we look ahead. But I don't have the crystal ball. I don't know the answer of what that looks like. But right now, as we sit, I think we are going to be back on campus. It might be a little blended learning of online and physical. It might be, it might be a cohort where we're taking smaller groups of students. I mean, we can do all of those things if we need to. But I think the hope and the goal is, let's get everybody back on campus and see and wait. Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. We need to be flexible and give a lot of grace, because nobody has the answers and what's going on here and what tomorrow may bring, and all the other challenges that we're facing on a daily basis. So.
Absolutely. Grace, any leader would say at this point, grace, chief grace officer. You don't want to be punitive on people right now are all over the place. It's a difficult time emotionally. Just being able to listen, slow to speak, quick to listen is really, that's a key.
The world could use a little bit more of that right now, for sure.
I agree.
For sure. So you guys have got a lot of exciting things happening there at Concordia High School in Pflugerville. If folks wanted to engage with y'all, learn a little bit more, what's the best way? How do they get in touch with you?
Well, I encourage anybody, as you feel comfortable, come visit us. If you want to see what we're about online, we're at chsaustin.org. That's our website. You can call us 512-248-2547. You can email me at mike.deering@chsaustin.org. But we always want people to see our culture. And so one of the, again, let me go back to that, because we're doing Zoom open houses at this point, just to talk, just to see the personalities of some of our teachers. And we're going to bring our college coordinator on there, who does a great job of helping place students, but not just place them, but giving them the resources to move on to the next stage of their life. So just to be able to pick kind of like what we're doing right now, just to pick the brains of the practitioners of our school. We have an open house coming up, and all that information is online on our website. Check us out on our Facebook account. You can see the Busarama tour that we did, and some of the faces of our seniors, which are priceless. I'm sure you're going to be able to see some of the parade things that we're doing. Again, the focus has always been on the community and our kids, and that's where our heart is right now, of how do we best take care of them. So yeah, check us out on social media as well.
Absolutely. I think you may have set the bar pretty high for the principal to be riding around and driving the bus and go and visit things. So you may have just signed yourself up for another job.
Yeah, well, I was, I like you, I love baseball. I was a baseball coach for a while, and I'm old school. And so the baseball coach in my day had a CDL. And so, that's just kind of the name of the game. And I think the greatest compliment I was ever given on the baseball field was to be yelled at as the bus driver. And I think that's just old school baseball right there. So yeah, I still have it, and hopefully other principals follow suit and go get their CDL, drive a school bus around for a day.
There you go. Well, good. Well, Mike, thank you very much for taking the time to just spend a few minutes to talk about Concordia High School and what you guys are doing there, and how flexible y'all have been. And folks watching, I would encourage you, if you're interested in learning more, to reach out to Mike and his team and visit their website, and just learn more about what they've got going on, and all the, a lot of great stuff with the new building coming online, and just very exciting times for Concordia High School.
Thank you, Josh. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Great job.
God bless, and we'll see you next time.